You want me to go?
Yeah.
Welcome, Strategy Battle Gamers, to another GBHL YouTube video. Here with your host, GBHL Tom.
And GBHL Damian.
And we are here for a tournament review that has been long in the making.
As we haven't actually done one in a while, have we?
No.
So it's,
we did East Grinstead.
We did East Grinstead, which was, what was that, February? January?
Yeah.
I don't know. But they are quite hard for us to get together because they take a long time and we're doing the plans every week and stuff. So we're sorry if we didn't do a tournament review for you. But yes, we are doing one this week, and it's for?
It's for the Desolation of Stockport 2015.
Yeah, the first one run by James and Jamie this year.
Yes.
We both went, which is going to be helpful for the review. And yeah, we're going to talk you through our armies and our games and whether we enjoyed the event. Spoilers, we did. And just so on and so forth, like normal.
Yeah.
And so it's a good time to do some painting.
Yeah,
to one of these videos.
This will probably be in two parts because our East Grinstead one was well over 2 hours.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
One video.
Yeah, it's yeah, it was, wasn't it? That was a one-dayer.
Yeah.
It was a lot of games. So yeah, we're gonna.
We banged on quite a lot. It's because it was late and we were just.
We're gonna do this in two parts. I was gonna do a sort of day one, day two video.
The thing I enjoy about a tournament review is I can just sit and drink the tea without having to do the whole tea toast thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The tea.
Get straight into the tea drinking.
The tea's more informal. You know how you were talking about how we were banging on a lot in the other video?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so this tournament was, I know you were seeing various videos and stuff, previews and all that, but it was 600 points. And up in Stockport, the Northwest Gaming Centre.
Yeah. And it was going to be 7 games over the 2 days. So 4 on day 1 and 3 on day 2.
And what did you bring?
I brought a Helm's Deep themed force. I had Theoden just armoured up as my leader on foot. And Gamling.
Shield?
No shield. No shield. Gamling with this Royal Standard of Rohan on foot. And they were leading normal men of Rohan on foot. Nothing particularly special. I hadn't spammed throwing spears. I think it was an even mix of throwing spears, swords and bows, and I had 1 axeman in my force because that's all I've got painted.
Piercing strike, spam.
Yeah. And then I had an elven contingent as well, a Glathram contingent, which was led by Haldir, Defenders of Helm's Deep. And I had Legolas in there as well, but without his elven cloak.
So you had the Defender of Helm's Deep profile?
Yeah, but not the model. Okay. But I guess they
never see
the
him,
same thing.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, he's quite cool. I've seen him a few times, but I really like Haldir's profile. It's a good one.
So definitely a fluff army.
Yeah, and then it was just with normal Glathram in there as well.
Did you have any plans for it or anything? Was there any sort of synergy planned, or was it just the fact that
5/5 elves are reasonably good with Rohan in that they can lend their fight value, but it's all very low defence. And I couldn't really, even though I'm elves, it's only half elves, so I'm not realistically going to be out shooting things, especially with my low defence.
Like Elrond.
No. But the Rohan archers aren't going to be great. Defence 4. So yeah, my plan was to use Gamling to boost up Theoden because he's the only one who can with the Royal Standard, and hopefully make Theoden a bit of a beast.
So that's a 3 point of might every turn.
Once Theoden gets down to no might, if he's within Gamling at the start of the
if he's what?
Within what did I say?
You said if he's within Gamling.
If he's within 3 inches of Gamling.
Right, okay.
Which takes on a new meaning given the first statement.
Yeah, these things just happen.
If he's within 3 inches of Gamling and he's on no might at the start of the turn, so before kind of anything happened, any heroics have taken place. Oh dear. And then
That's the right point. Moving on.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, my hopes were kind of mid-table with that.
So 7 games winning.
Try and get 3 from that with that list.
Good stuff. I brought my pure Thranduil's horse for the first time. So the army I've been painting up. I didn't quite get it finished in time for East Grinstead, but I did have enough for this tournament because it was 600 points. So I brought the old profiles, the Desolation of Stockport profiles, Desolation of Smell profiles. This is going to be a good video, right?
Yeah.
Of Legolas with armour and elf cloak, Thranduil with armour and bow, and Tariel.
Cool.
And they were leading, I think Legolas was leading 10 rangers, 10 Merkwood rangers. Thranduil was leading 8 Palace Guard, and they were just
shield, all shield.
I think 4 with blade and shield, 2 with spear, 2 with spear and shield.
Okay.
and then Tariel was leading 5 of the new armoured elves, and they were, I think, two with glaive and 3 archers, and the archers had elf blades. So it was quite cool. I was really excited about using it because it's the army I've been painting up recently.
Yeah, it's nicely themed, and also, but it is pretty competitive as well.
Yeah, elves are always going to be good. You know, they're dependable. But I did think like last year you didn't see a lot of Rangers and Palace Guard on the top tables. So this was my kind of challenge for this year. This is the army that I was trying to do well with at an event, but having not played an event competitively with it before, I had no idea how well I was going to do. But yeah, you know, the old Legolas and Thranduil profiles are good, Tariel's good, but
I think it's a strong list, but you wouldn't say it's a filthy list. It's not.
Yeah, exactly, and it's all from the same.
Strong,
it's all from
but
one list.
It's, you know, you'd say, I don't know, a top 10 list.
Yeah, I don't think
Maybe
it's. I mean, I don't think it's tournament optimised because I don't think I don't know. It's a tricky thing, but I haven't taken anything from other places.
No, you're not sure.
But it is.
Well, yeah, if you're going tournament optimised, you'd put Glathrym Court instead of the Palace.
Yeah,
Court,
exactly.
Like that.
Save points on those sorts of things.
But still, the Fight 6 is still very handy.
Yeah. So there's a kind of what was interesting. I played a couple of practice games with it. Just learning. You have to be careful with Thranduil about where you put him. Because you count on these kind of Fight 6 Palace Guard and suddenly like, oh, he's not Fight 6, which can make a huge difference.
So yeah, did you hang him back then and not really use him in fights and kind of have him behind as a banner almost?
Yeah, I mean,
he can do the nature's
but
wrath.
he had his Terror as well, so he is a kind of more support hero, and I was just chucking.
So very different to the new Thranduil.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why I love the list. There's a lot of choice now. So yeah, that's what I was bringing. I was really excited about using him. So yeah, there we go. So those were our armies, and we went up. Did I come pick you up at Bicester? On a Friday. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you were working and it was later. We had someone else. Macklin.
Yeah,
Tom Macklin came with us. Yeah,
yes.
Of course. That was it. Sorry. Yeah, we should probably put this caveat in. And we really wanted to do it. Say thanks to James and Jamie for running it and to give you guys an idea. But it is now. Is it about 4 weeks since the event?
Tomorrow is the 7 stone, so you can work it out from that.
Yeah. Tomorrow's our tournament. Woo!
But yeah, it's a long.
It's been a while,
time
so
Stockport.
we wanted to do it to give you guys some content. But yeah, if our memory's a bit hazy, we apologise. Yeah. So Tom Macklin came over to mine.
Yeah, but unlike what you may have seen in a sketch, that's not what happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that was all true. All true. That's what happens in the car. We did joke about that. That's not too dissimilar to what happens on the real journeys.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tom Macklin came over here, left his car. Me and him then drove to you.
Yeah.
Got to you for about 4 or 5 o'clock in the end, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then headed up together, the 3 of us, and we were able to get a bit of a jump on the traffic. Yeah. Which was kind of all part of our plan, wasn't it? And we were heading up about the same time as Sam Page and James Baldwin and Kieran.
Yes.
Were all going up together.
Yeah. I think they'd set off slightly before us and they were expecting us to overtake them.
It was quite exciting because Tom Macklin had a big box of toys with him that he was selling, so we kind of got first dibs on them, which was really cool. So I managed to get some cool bits, including this guy, Finecast Troll Chieftain. Thanks a lot. And so there was.
He'd mess up your elves.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a few bits and bobs that I wouldn't say I was particularly after, but
they're cool pieces
Tom
to have.
did a good deal. Yeah, I got him, and I got some Moran and Orcs and Taskmaster and some Ring Raves. So cool.
Yeah, you've not really got much more though, have you? So that was a good.
It was nice. They're all bits that I wanted at some point, but they weren't top of my list.
And they're in scenarios. Like, you've got all the Fellowship, you've got all the 2 Tower scenarios, and it'd be nice to get them.
They were going for kind of themey, iconic models.
So before we go massively off topic, back to Stockport. We arrived and checked in at the hotel and then headed to the venue for.
We went for dinner first, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we went for dinner with pizza.
Yeah, we went to La Familia. La Familia, that's a restaurant in Hampton Hill.
It's Amici's.
Amici's, yeah. We went there
with Kieran, James Baldwin, Sam, all their car.
Kieran's mate
Simon Pipe. Yeah. So yeah, we were all there. I think that was it. Yeah, that was good. We shared a nice garlic bread.
We did. That was a very enjoyable meal. And then we were going to the venue, and as we were walking there, the gaming venue, because that's apparently where everyone was, there was a whole crowd of nerds on the other side of the road.
Oh yeah, we bumped into
who then yelled out, and who was there? Billy and Jay Clare
and
Alistair and all that kind of group over there. So we just went over to the Bamford Arms.
Yes.
For some drinks, and then we all stayed in there for hour or
Yeah.
2 hours or something. Had some drinks. It was great to see everyone.
Yeah.
So a very lovely, enjoyable.
Yeah, we were
evening.
sat in a nice table area.
And sometimes because we're travelling up from the south, we get to these places at like 10, 11 at night or something. So it's really nice to have a nice meal and some drinks with everyone and catch up a bit.
Yeah.
Very lovely it was too.
Cool. So then we went to bed and got up for the next day.
Whee.
So yeah, went into the venue, which is the Northwest Gaming Centre. You've probably seen it a lot on videos on the channel, but it's a great venue, huge. The best thing about it is all the table set up and the fact that you can buy tea and things like that is always great.
Those are the two best things.
You know, if you were being highly critical, you could say that it'd be better if they were slightly more clean in some of the areas.
Yeah.
They just don't make it look particularly attractive as you're walking in because they've got, you know, loads of cardboard boxes kind of strewn around. But the actual gaming centre itself is amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, anything before game one that's worth mentioning?
Well, especially just seeing loads of people, saying hi, catching up and all that sort of thing. We knew who our games were. That's mildly important, I suppose. Because Jamie had done the draw in advance.
Yes.
So I knew I was playing Steve Crow first.
And I knew I was playing Gary Doyle.
So that was, you know, it didn't affect my army list, but potentially it could have affected your army. You might have had to think about what they might have brought. So into the first game?
Yeah.
Which was to the death.
Yes, it was indeed.
Okay.
Sure. So yeah, I played Gary Doyle, who's from Ireland, and it's the first time we've ever played, so I was really pleased to draw him, because I like playing people who I've played against.
Because I don't know you're an awful person.
Yeah, exactly. So he had brought the White Council, the new White Council, which was pretty cool, because I've not played that before. So he had the new Elrond, the new Galadriel, the new Saruman, and the new Legolas all together.
Alright.
Which is a pretty cool list.
On foot?
On foot,
yeah,
all on foot.
All on foot.
Yeah, and like you think about it and you think, okay, it's only 4 models, I can do this, but they're actually pretty handy. They're all pretty handy. And Elrond's free heroic strike is very good in an all hero because it means he's not burning. You can't really rely on going in, him running out of might, going in heroic striking and almost guaranteeing yourself the win in the fight. So anyway, Gary had some fairly horrific luck in the first turn. He sorceress blasted Gambling away to try and get his banner out of range, but he didn't manage to wound him at all. And you'll see I'll come back to a theme on this later. But he, on the first go, charged in with Elrond and Legolas and Galadriel. I think he did a Nature's Wrath and knocked things over. And then heroic combated with Elrond and Legolas because they were against 2 guys on the floor. So this was a really good chance for him to whittle down some numbers because my spear spots have fallen over, so they're not able, because he blasted Gambling away, there was no one to resist as well. Because I think Gambling knocked into Theoden, so they were both out of range of these guys to resist the Nature's Wrath. So then Legolas rolled, I think, a 5 highest for the fight, and I managed to get a 6 shielding on the floor. So he spent another point of might, and then failed to kill the 2 on the floor.
That's cruel.
With Legolas with 6 dice to wound, needing 5s. But yeah, so 2 points of might lost. Heroic combat doesn't pull off. Elrond, again, Elrond I think lost the fight, and he was like, I'm not using might to win that one.
Oh, right.
So 2 heroic combats failed, that's big.
Yeah.
Then losing the might as well.
Yeah, it's losing the might and not killing them all.
Yeah. So that was a big swing in my favour straight away.
And presumably 4 models from Nature's Wrath get up, which is another.
Yeah, exactly. But then Galadriel hilariously smashed through her 2 without any problem, so the one who didn't heroic combat was an absolute beast. The new Galadriel's fairly handy.
I'm not sure how good she'd be at 600 points because she's really good at shutting down wizards and rogues, isn't she? And
I didn't have a wizard.
Them at about 600 points.
But it was cool to see the profile.
And her blinding light, I guess, helps with an all-hero army.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, my only shooting was from Legolas, who was auto-hitting the other Legolas in combat, basically.
Sort of sadomasochist.
Yeah, so he had the 3 kind of attacking heroes, Galadriel, Legolas, Elrond, fighting me, whilst Saruman eventually was backing away, popping his Sorcerer's Blast. And because he's so good at the spell casting, he always casts the Sorcerous Blast. But I swear over the whole game, he must have had about 8 Sorcerous Blasts, knocking down...
He casts on a 4 and you can re-roll it,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah. So it's just mad. He always casts it. But he... so he must have done about 8 Sorcerous Blasts, knocking down, I don't know, 20 models throughout that time, something like that, of which he managed to kill 1.
Good work, Gary.
Could not roll to wound with Saruman Sorcerous Blast for Toffee. So, yeah, Saruman was awesome with his spellcasting, but then just didn't get the wounds, which is another big thing, really. And, eventually, I got some people on him because there's only so much board space for him to back away into.
If you've got all hero on foot, you need the things to come off, don't you? You need Sorcerer's Blast to be killing, you need Heroic Combat to come off.
Yeah, so that didn't come off for him. I think he got a renew off with Elrond on Legolas or something, which was pretty good. But yeah, obviously I'm swamping the heroes, and as soon as he has a bad roll, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
However, there was one hilarious moment where I'd already wounded Galadriel, and I trapped Galadriel. I had, 8 dice, needing 4s, so 2 4s would guarantee Galadriel dies. Shook them all. Every single one. I can re-roll 1s with fainting as well, and so every single one's a 2 or a 3 apart from 1. So I didn't kill Galadriel.
Strong work.
But yeah, I eventually killed... I mean, Legolas was being auto-hit by my Legolas, and I think died purely through that, even though he was winning his fights. Galadriel eventually went down, just because her low defence is pretty unforgiving. As soon as she loses a fight, she's in trouble.
Yeah.
And obviously I had Gamling giving Theoden might every go, which meant that I could go in and heroic strike.
Yeah. That synergy was already paying off then.
Yeah. Yeah, in that game I got about 7 might for free from Theoden. He had about 8 might or something over the game. So that really helped, because I could heroic move every go as well. I could either heroic move or heroic strike, depending on what
it really costs 25 points, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you pay 25 points for the banner.
Yeah, but Gamling is very ineffective because he gets a -1, so you're using Gamling as a stand-back character, so... Yeah, I think it's well worth it. If you're doing a big Rohan army, that banner's awesome, because Gamling's got 2 might, he's giving someone near him might, so you're always getting the heroic moves, which is huge. And if you keep both of those heroes kind of back behind your front rank, it's very difficult for people to get to
You
them.
could just have someone like a battery, you could have someone like Merry, couldn't you? Who just stands next to Gamling to constantly get a might every turn and
just call the heroic moves.
Move.
Yeah. So yeah, that was working really well. Elrond was a lot harder to take down, but I think eventually I got Haldir in, won the heroic strike roll off and ended up killing him. So yeah, in the end I wiped him out, but it was a very fun game. It was cool playing that kind of all hero as well. It's not kind of they're mounted, they're charging in and doing you in.
And kind of Boromir, it's sort of Aragorn combo. It's like
it was quite a new. Yeah, it was fun to play against. So yeah, and Gary's a great opponent. I really enjoyed playing him, and I think I ended up giving him my most sporting. So. Because in the face of all this bad luck that he'd had with Saruman's rolls, and there were other points in the game, like the heroic combat, but there were other points where he's not rolling the 6 that he needs to, he'd bosh it. Not once was he fazed by that or upset, or he was just having a great time, which I really appreciated. So thank you, Gary, for the great game.
Cool. So what's that? 8?
Yeah, because I had the banner, so I got the full
10,
points.
10,
yeah, something like that.
Good start.
Yeah, so good start for me in terms of a tournament.
Cool. So I was up against Steve Crow and his filth, which I knew about in advance. I knew the army was bringing it. And I was very worried.
You've probably seen it on the channel playing James in GW Altrincham.
Yeah. So
that was the army.
Spider Queen. Then I think it was the Witch King and the Knight of Umbar on Felbeast. He had 2 Felbeasts.
Yeah.
I think he definitely had the Knight of Umbar. I think it was the Witch King.
Yeah, I think that's right.
A Dweller in the Dark, Druzag to enrage the Spider Queen. And is that right?
I think that's it.
340, 450.
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think check out the GW Altrincham battle report if you've not seen it already, because that's quite a cool video.
So I was very worried about this because of the nature of the scenario. Well, I think it's a couple of Felbeasts, a Dweller. I hate Dwellers. Yeah. Because as soon as if they get to you,
and hurling,
they're incredibly hard to take down because of A, the fight 7, and B, they get the wound back.
Yeah. But if you can shoot them, then they're useless.
And because it was to the death, to break it, the only way I could win was breaking him and getting his general.
Which is the Witch
So
King.
to break it, yes, I believe so. So to break him, I would need to kill 4 models. So he had 5, and which was going to be relatively tough, tough models, and to kill his leader. I've got to take down the Felbeast.
Yeah.
So we had this kind of Harad board, like with some like desert brick houses, so solid line of sight blockers.
Yeah.
So I naturally wanted to deploy far back.
Yeah.
But I got a bad roll for Tariel and their elves, so
she has-
they were at
and they're
12
all the
inches.
Merced Rangers, right?
No, she was with the armoured elves.
Ah, okay.
But she's obviously good in combat.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to lose her. So classic kind of fell breach protection. You know, they were all around her. And then I had the rest of the guys. I think I ended up putting them about 6 inches behind rather than on the board edge, so that I could hopefully tie out them. So the game starts, and it was really kind of sketchy for the first few turns because Steve.
Sketchy in what sense? You mean cagey?
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
It was cagey.
Yeah.
Because Steve, I think if Leggy fires 3 shots, I think I had 18 shots, which is a lot.
Yeah,
600
your Merced Rangers make your list very, very, very good at shooting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had about 2 turns of shooting at him once he came out in the open.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know if I backed off and that sort of stuff. So I think he was a bit worried about that. So most of his stuff was behind the buildings, kind of outside. And he was focusing on this Tariel little thing. And I think in the first turn, we both called a heroic move, me to get, because I think one of the Felbeast was in charge range of her.
Yeah.
So we both called a heroic move, me to get out of there, him to get in.
Because I guess he could have compelled something out of the way with one and compelled her out with the other.
Or just barged or got into her.
Somehow,
it was just awful.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure he won. I think I won the roll off, so I got away with it. He then went in and immobilised her, and I think I went to resist it and failed and had to use a might point.
Oof.
And I'm pretty sure by the start of turn 2, Tariel was out of might.
Right.
Because
heroic and then
use the might to not be immobilised.
Yeah.
Which he then really annoyed me by then not charging her. So like I resisted, burnt the might to not be resisted, and then because she wasn't immobilised, he went, I won't charge her then. And I was like, ugh! You know, like, she would have been fine if she was immobilised, but so that was good use of that by Steve. But I managed to dodge that bullet a bit. I think, but she was out of might, and I was like, I need might. Yeah, might is key here.
Yeah, especially with the Dweller at 5-7.
Yeah, with the Dweller for strikes and stuff. But I managed to just about avoid that and kind of get out. And then he started thinking about coming forward, and I think he had one Felbeast over on this side near Tariel, and then everything else on this side near the rest of my army. And I think he went forward with the Dweller, and I think I did something. I remember. This is the problem with it being so long ago. I remember having a horrendous round of luck against it. It's doing something like hitting it with...
in the shooting.
Yeah. I think maybe I did a wound on it one turn. Yeah. Then the next turn I hit it with like 8 arrows. Yeah. Needed to do 2 5s to kill it or something.
To kill the
Dweller.
Oh, to kill the Dweller.
And did 1. And was like, ah! Like that. And then of course it's going to be on you.
Serves you right for having all the Merced Rangers.
Yeah. Shortly after that, I think I managed to get on one of the Felbeasts, like in a heroic move over here with Tariel and everything. And they again, I can't remember the exact details of it, trapped it, but either didn't win it or didn't kill it. Yeah. Which was really annoying. It was like, that was a chance. Yeah. I have a feeling I didn't win it. It was one of those sort of with all the dice, but the fight, I think it was Knight of Umbar, so the fight was tied. And I think Steve managed to win that, which was a worry. And
did he hurl you?
He did. I remember that like Tariel had done really well there, nearly, and then I'm pretty sure spent the rest of the game on a bump. Yeah. Like just being hurled into and knocked down and stuff. But the next turn, then the Dweller comes on, and I managed to kill it with shooting. I think before I got into combat, which was huge.
That's a huge thing. I think with elves, you'd be disappointed if you didn't kill the Dweller before it got into combat. So that defense 5.
That's defense 5, yeah. So that was a big deal. And then, of course, he now is one of his models down, and that kind of big monster army, as soon as it's one, you're kind of in trouble. But then he kind of attacked, and the Spider Queen got in.
Enraged?
Yes, he definitely enraged it. couple
grim
of
when
times.
they're in range because it's whatever, fight 10, 5 attacks,
Yeah.
something. I can't remember exactly, but it's awful.
It was the Spider Queen, I remember, that hurled something and hit Tariel. Like,
Right.
she was about 11 inches
Yeah.
away and
Yeah.
sent an elf into
Oh,
her
because
face.
if she's enraged, her strength goes
Yeah.
right up.
It was awful. But then, again, after a couple of turns, I was able to wear the Spider Queen down, kill that. Then he's down to kind of... I was taking pot shots at Drizag.
Yeah.
Now he was hiding back with the Spider Queen being dead to try and get rid of him and break him, essentially. The Felbeast got in, and I think, like, just after a few rounds of combat, gradually I was able to weather the storm. I've got the fight 6.
You've got the high fight value to
beat
do
him.
Yeah. The Knight of Umbar's good, but...
And then just gradually, one of them was off his Felbeast. I think maybe the Knight of Umbar, because I knew he was the threat. I maybe took the Felbeast down first, rather than trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And then gradually he was getting to that point where you get to with Wraiths, where they're getting so low on will that you realise you're gonna win the game.
Yeah.
Because they have to do so much to damage you, and they've only got so many fights left in them, sort of thing. And you just gradually wear them down. And I think eventually Drizag might have been his last model. I think I got into combat with him, and I don't think I killed him. But I managed to end up taking down the beasts and winning it.
So a good win.
I was very, very chuffed. Like, I mean, Steve would be the first to admit that he hadn't used that army for a while. And as much as you call it his filthy army, he didn't play it filthily. No. Like I think he was genuinely. He's been using Gondor for ages, and he wanted to try something. No, it's a bit of
fun with monsters, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you play it right, I think his only mistake. I said this to him afterwards. Was coming in. He came in a bit piecemeal, like because the Spider Queen came.
Yeah.
If
it should have been all together.
I just would have put everything up and
try and
just sat
even
through
just
one round
march into one flank of yours.
Yeah,
that's the best thing.
If you've got 2 Felbeasts, a Dweller, and a Spider Queen standing in front of me, I'll probably take one down with shooting.
Yeah.
But then the next turn, the others, 3 of them charge in, 3 hurls.
Because that's the other thing. If you march towards one side of your bow line, you're going to be set up like spread out so you can shoot effectively. So if he marched at one flank, he should be able to get in, and then you're having to faff rearranging whilst he's destroying that bit.
I think I natured wrathed him off a Felbeast at one point. I remember that being a big roll.
Yeah.
A really big roll of
so maybe that was how the Knight of Umbar went.
Yeah, that's how I think I got one off the Felbeast with that, which I was like, he had loads of will left, but I was like, I think I got him down to no might. So I was like, I'll take the chance now, and I think he chucked. I remember Ed coming over actually at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, so how many are you going to use to resist it? And Steve went, 3. And Ed in my ear went, you should have used 4. His voice went, you've got to use 4. And then he got 3, and he went off.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so he went up. But it was a really fun game. It was great. I had so much time for Steve's top bloke, and it was a nice start.
One you say when you're on videos.
Nah, I do. We've had a great time in the campaign. And he's my favourite person I've ever sat on this sofa with.
You sat on there with Jamie as well.
Oh yeah, he's in my top 2 people. Basically not you. Basically not you. Hang on. So yeah, great first game against Steve, and I was very pleased to get a win at that.
Good stuff. So yeah, I think we went straight into another game, didn't we? There was no break, long break after that. So, what was game 2? It was Lords of Battle. Yes, it was. So yeah, Lords of Battle. Trying to remember who I played for this one. I think it was Andrew Greenwood. So yeah, I played Andrew, and he had. It looked quite formidable when he set it up. He had black Numenorians basically was all of his army, front rank, and then back rank was Morannon Orc Spearmen, I want to say. Yeah, so Morannon Orc Spearmen backing up black Numenorians, and he had the Witch King, but budget Witch King, so literally no might, 10 will, no faith, and then a budget Ring Wraith, 070. So he had those 2 just purely to give the terror buff.
Yeah.
The -1
courage,
and then they've got black Numenorians. And he also had Shagrat War Leader and 2 Orc banners. So it was pretty formidable from a combat sense.
Yeah.
He didn't have any shooting. The issue for me is that I'm shooting against defense 6, so it's not going to do that much. and I was a little bit worried about the courage as well, because my elves are courage 5, but really they want to be backing up the Rohan. So Rohan charging in at courage 3 down to 2 is a bit of a bit worrying. So anyway, I think his mistake was in the deployment. He set up as a big long line across the middle to get that kind of formation, but I set up on one edge of the board in more of a kind of ring, so which meant that the far bit of his line was miles away from me. And another thing that he didn't do was then march to compensate and get in quickly. So I had quite a few rounds of shooting before he could get into my line. I didn't do that much in terms of damaging the Black Numenorians or the Morannons because they're defense 6, but Legolas gloriously managed to auto hit the Witch King and kill him in 1.
Brilliant.
First time hit the Witch King, 6, by 4, 3, point might, done.
Yeah, because it's not that unlikely, is it? Because if you get the 5, you're always going to use a point of might to get yourself a 3 plus. You got
with 3 might,
nearly got a 1 in 3.
and it's worth burning burning his might to get rid of that Witch King.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That wasn't his leader, but then Haldir set up an almighty battle with Shagrat by targeting Shagrat from the onset. So I was like, no, why not? Haldir will go for Shagrat. This annoyed Shagrat.
I mean, just shooting him? Like?
Yeah, just shooting him. He didn't. I think he took a wound off. But Shagrat was really annoyed by this, so went straight for Haldir. And they had a fairly epic battle when the battle lines did clash. It was fairly even in the fighting because I had the higher fight value, but then I needed 6s to wound, whereas whilst he's losing more fights, when he does win, needs 5s to kill me, so I was killing some quite well. The reason I was kind of on top is because that bit of his army that started further away took longer to get in, so at first I could do a bit more of the ganging up and having more models in. So I took I had a kind of a reasonable advantage going in, given I'd killed a few from shooting and then I killed a few more than him in the first rounds of combat. But Haldir and Shagrat battled it out till they were kind of out of might, so heroic striking, Haldir won the first fight, took a wound off. So then Shagrat's down to 1 wound, but then Shagrat wins 1, smashes Haldir, takes him down to 1 wound. But then in the final fight between them, Shagrat wins it when they're on their might and manages to kill Haldir. But it's Haldir Defenders of Helm's Deep, so he gets 1 final blow. Strength 4 hit on Shagrat, who's out of everything, rolls the dice and gets a 6.
Kills him.
Kills Shagrat. So they both went down on the same turn. So that's
awesome.
That was probably my favourite moment of the tournament in the games. It was brilliant. And to be fair to Andrew, he enjoyed it as well, even though his Shagrat had gone down, and that probably won me the game, right? Because it takes that huge model of his out, and it's his leader. So that was a huge role for me, but he appreciated that was a pretty incredible moment, especially because especially because Haldir had kind of set it up by shooting him, tempting him in, and then they had the scrap, and they both died on the same turn. So that was awesome. Theoden again was being a beast by just getting his free might point every go, essentially, chopping through a few things. Theoden basically was trying to heroic combat through to get to his other ring wraith, who was after the Witch King had died. Basically, he was lying his ring wraith down so Legolas couldn't see him.
I hate that.
So Legolas eventually got into combat.
Why you do it. If I was writing the rules down, unless it's in a scenario, you can't voluntarily lie on for mine. But
because he was laid down, it meant that Theoden were at combat and got through onto this ring wraith lying on the floor.
Well, Theoden.
Yeah.
Theoden, well, okay.
Yeah, so eventually knocked him on the head and took that one down. So yeah, in the end it was a reasonable victory, but I think if Shagrat had survived, that would have swung it the other way, because Shagrat would then have started chopping through my Rohan guys pretty easily.
Cool.
So yeah, but it was a great game. But yeah, another good victory.
Another win.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I know.
So I was up against Matthew Wilding, who's a very nice man, who I played at Throne of Skulls. I think I'd actually played him in the Throne of Lulls thing on the Friday and at the Deadliest Warband thing.
Okay.
I don't think I played him
in the actual game.
Tournament, I think.
Yeah.
And he had an army that it looked like he'd brought it kind of for fun because it was models that he liked rather than it being overly competitive. When I saw it, you know when you get to a tournament and you sort of think, whether I'm going to struggle, I was like, okay, I should be able to take this.
Yeah.
I think he had something like Vrasku, I think he had, with about 12 ruffians, which is interesting. most of which were, I think they might have all been archers actually.
Okay, so that's getting his numbers up.
Yeah, then he had Sharky and Worm, Crime Busters of the Sea. He had a Ring Wraith, which might have been the Witch King, but again, a budget one.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he had any Fate.
Okay.
I think he had 2 Might.
Right.
But not, it's that kind
When
of
you've got
annoying,
Legolas
he's
as
going to
well.
get me with stuff, but not a terrifying one.
Yeah.
And then he had a whole bunch of Uruk-hai warriors. He had some berserkers. He had orc spears to support. I think he kind of had a Uruk front line with orc spears, and he had some wild riders as well.
So kind of mix of
evil
stuff.
And Sharku was in there.
Okay.
Definitely. And so he had that, but it wasn't any of the kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a shaman, for example. The sort of when someone pulls up an army, and you
Yeah,
start
yeah.
looking at where's the Ringwraith, where's the shaman,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it was Lords of Battle.
Well, the shaman wouldn't have covered the ruffians or anything, so I guess.
Yeah, and he had
And
orcs
orcs
and
and Uruk,
Uruk-hai,
so it's probably not worth it.
And it was Lords of Battle,
Mhm.
and I had 18 shots, and he had something like 10 ruffian shots, and I was like, I don't want to be an arse, but it's a tournament, and it's like that. There's an interesting thing, I've talked to a lot of Wood Elf players about this, where you say, if you stand back and shoot, are you being an arse? Because you're probably going to win. It's like, but on the other hand, if you don't do that and you charge in, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's the nature of the beast.
I think as long as you don't start backing away, it's all right. It gets. I don't like backing away.
Good.
I know
so
you do that.
You play
filthy.
You play down the length of the board,
Mhm.
and so I start. He starts in the middle. I start, I think, 12 inches away from him because of some bad rolls, or whatever. Start backing away. I got you. What's better off? I just charge in and fight
just
some
stay
Uruk-hai. Yeah, maybe. But so I start falling back and basically just decimate his ruffians.
The thing is, I think if you're playing Wood Elves, anybody, just when you're set up, don't worry about what's going to get shot. Have them all in a clump so that your hero can heroic march, just get in their face and go for one of the flanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for the flanks, and then they have to rearrange and just don't just walk towards them.
Yeah, he did. I think, as memory serves, he called a couple of heroic marches.
Good.
But I had a big gap between them. So I had to. That's the way my army can win games, by killing things with shooting. So I went straight for the ruffians because those were his shooting things, so they could damage me. Be their defense 3.
Yeah. Oh.
And they just died in droves to the elf archery, and I was able to kill them. And of course, it's Lords of Battle, so you get in ahead, but you're also swinging the numbers.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of turns of that where I was very kind of pleased with and I was going for them, and then I think I kind of wiped them out and started going for either the orcs or the wild riders. And Legolas, I'm pretty sure in the first couple of turns, I hit the Witch King, killed him.
Yeah.
I might have spent a point of might or something, but got him out of the game pretty early. And then basically, if you imagine these two lines, like I say they're doing that, they're not doing that. They're doing this.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But these lines are coming together, and about here, so there's about 6-7 inches between us. There was then a fight on this end where he'd got his wild riders on, so we start scrapping, and basically he starts kind of breaking through a few of my models, and I've got 2 Mirkwood Rangers at the back, and I just remember definitely 1, possibly 2, fighting against I think Sharku and 4 Wild Riders or 3 Orcs or something. So he gets the 4 attacks, winning.
Yeah.
He killed Sharku's Warg, which is just incredible. And then the next turn he gets another 4 into him and he wins again. I think like 3 turns, this one Mirkwood Ranger kind of fought off 12 Orcs.
Yeah.
And then of course, I've won the fight, right, 4 attacks then.
Yeah.
I was hacking through things and finally went down, but it was an absolute star for me because it meant as long as I got priority, I could charge, if my army's here and his army's here, I could charge in the back of 2 Wild Riders to kind of hold up his advance, sort of over there. And I was able to use like the Palace Guard quite well with the shields to kind of make a block so he can't fight. And I was just shooting and just gunning him down. And then he eventually got in charge range, and Thranduil's Terror Bubble was up.
Yeah, that's the room without a shaman,
Yeah, I don't think he had a shaman. But he managed to, he charged everything in, and so managed to get everything in, and he had a battle line. And it's just, one of those games where you feel bad, but it's just all the synergy of your army working together.
Mm-hmm.
So like he finally got in. This is the point, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these low on numbers.
Yeah, but I haven't got a
5,
spear
6.
line. Bear in mind, it's
Yeah.
just he's got a lot of berserkers and
Yeah.
a lot of defense 6 Uruks against basically
You
armored
got
elves or
enough
rangers.
spears. You had Palace Guard spears and
Yeah,
blades.
but I haven't got the numbers to make a spear line. Really,
Okay.
I've only got about 26 models. So you know your spear line would be 13 wide, which isn't going to compete. So
Well,
generally,
it's a
what
curve.
happens? Yeah, but he charged it as about 8 guys on 8 guys or something, and then Thranduil went nature's wrath. Like it's like, why wouldn't you? You know that's so. And you'd backed off so that there was no heroes in range. He did it. They all got knocked down, and that was the turn for Matt to have got back into it and killed a load of me. As it was, a load of his orcs then on the floor went
so
down.
you had no one in range. Yeah. I think
so
people will dislike playing against elves.
Yeah.
When it's like that, it's
But
frustrating.
it's also it's the nature of the scenario. You play down the length as well, so you start further away, and
they
because of Lords of Battle,
you take a lead.
You need to do it. Yeah, that's how you're going to win. So yeah, that happened, and then it was at that point it was relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
He was coming back into it and killing a lot of models because, as I said, I don't have a lot of models, and once they start falling, it gets a bit icky. And but I think I was just chucking Tariel into 2 orcs at a time and chopping through them, or two defense 6 orcs actually, and U5s. And I think he broke me, as memory serves, in the end. But I managed to win by I don't know, 10 VPs, 20 VPs, something like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere of that ilk. But a lot of it was down to me having shooting didn't do anything, and I just got into a huge shooting lead.
Cool.
But it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. Matt was a really good opponent to play against. As I said, I did feel a bit filthy, but it's just that it's one of those scenarios where your army is ideally suited, ideally paired up against the opposing army. Matthew Wilding, yeah.
So yeah, I was going to say, so there were 62 people at the event.
Record-breaking event.
Yeah, which is awesome. But yeah, I thought it'd be nice to say where these armies finished, just to give you an idea of how well some of these armies did.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Matthew Wilding, despite the game against Damian, came 14th, which is a very good effort.
I think that's a really good effort with that army, actually, to be honest.
Hearing the army, that's a good finish.
Gary's on?
So Gary, with the All Hero, I remember him saying he got some wins later on. Where did he finish? I'm trying to find where. 33rd, so pretty much slap bang in the middle for Gary, which is pretty good with a new All Hero list that I think he'd kind of thrown together just before he came. So that's pretty good. Steve came 57th.
Oh.
So very low down.
He wasn't there on day 2.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Steve couldn't make it on day 2.
So that's why he's tumbled
so
down.
He didn't play 3 games.
And Andrew came 28th, so just in the top half with his Black Numenorians.
Cool.
So cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So on to game 3. Well, we had lunchtime, didn't we?
We did have lunch then, which was wicked. Yeah. It's normally a kind of big thing of curry or a hot dog or something. The curry's normally alright, to be honest, I don't really mind it. But they'd ordered in Subway this time. Yeah. Big trays of Subway baguettes, which were really nice, and bag of Christmas stuff. So that was cool, very easy to get. And we launched SPG2.
Yeah.
Which I know you've heard lots about, but yeah, that was where we launched our magazine over lunch that time. And we were delighted to say people were very excited about it and very supportive, and we shifted loads and loads of copies. So thanks there to everyone who supported us.
Thank you very much. So yeah, nice to have a bit of lunch, and then on to game 3.
Just taken hold.
Yes.
So this is a kind of customised version of Whole Ground where you start 12 inches away from the centre. There's an objective in the middle, and you get one VP if you've got more enemies, more models than the opposing. 3 VPs if you've got double, and 5 VPs if you've got triple.
Or if they have none and you have 3.
Yeah. So it would always you would count. Your opponent would count as having 1 if they had none. Yeah. So if as long as you got 3 models, you get 5 VPs. You also got 3 VPs for killing the leader and 3 VPs for breaking.
So this it's interesting because it means that hordes can't automatically win hold ground. I think Jamie really likes this one. I think it started at Sterling War Games with David Reed's tournaments there. But yeah, it's cool. So
you still have to grab the middle, but you can win it without grabbing the middle, which is interesting. And you don't.
Yeah,
you're
you
not
can
going
get
to get that
6
VP for
from
every
breaking
middle.
and leader kill.
Yeah.
And they can only get 5 max from the middle. So I played Joe Wilcock, who is a younger player, but he's a very good player. Generally places quite well.
He beat me at the last Desolation of Stockport, didn't he?
Yeah,
Didn't he?
and I think
he beat me and drew with Ed in the first 2 games, I think, at the league final.
Mm-hmm. And he's if you look at people who've been to 4 or more tournaments, he's 16th in the all-time best average score at tournaments, which is fairly impressive. Always does well at events then. So yeah, I played Joe Wilcock, and I looked at his army, and it was fairly horrible.
It's the Isengard, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had essentially, I don't know, maybe 12, 14 berserkers. Uruk Captain, I think, was his leader, the defence emblem with a shield. Vrasku with a warband of crossbowmen. The berserkers were all backed up by orc spearmen. He had an Uruk shaman. And was that, who else did he have in there? He must have had a... No, I think that was about it. So yeah, those 3 heroes, the berserkers, the crossbowmen. So something like that. But I was very worried because he's got a lot of 2 attack models. It was essentially like your old list, but without Saruman, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of 2 attack models, which are then backed up by cheap orc spearmen. He's got the shaman for the berserkers. He's got all these crossbowmen.
Defense 6 models with channeled fury. They're going to be hard to kill.
Yeah. So yeah, I was pretty worried. So we set up both coming on from. I think we both came on from one side each. Does it work like normal hold ground, or does it?
No, it's 12 inches. You deploy up to 12 inches.
Yeah, so we both deployed
away from the on from the edge.
So yeah, there's crossbowmen on one side and all this fighty stuff on the other, and I had all my guys on my side. So basically, I burnt through Théoden's first 2 points of might to get him down to 0, so he can benefit straight away by doing 2 heroic marches. And I marched deliberately for his attacking part and away from the crossbowmen. So I was kind of to the right of the middle. And Joe brought them forward to meet me, but my plan was that hopefully he'd come forward to meet me to stop me from having the middle to myself, and then he'd start eventually blocking his own crossbowmen.
Yeah.
If he comes up. So then we got into, he did some shooting, but it wasn't devastating. I think he destroyed my Rohan archers, but I'll take them dying. I managed to kill a couple of crossbowmen with some shooting. So we got into the fighting. So I had numerical advantage because his crossbowmen have hung back to shoot, and that was kind of my plan. I wanted to get in and hopefully get a head start before the crossbowmen got in. And we did we had the rounds of combat, and Théoden was an absolute beast. He gets his free might point, essentially, with the banner, and I was heroic combating with Théoden against berserkers, and he was killing them, and over the course of the game, I think Théoden killed about 6 berserkers.
I suppose if you're always going to get the might point back, you'd have that freedom.
Yeah. If he has an elf backing him up, that's 3 attacks with Théoden. He can feint, but he's fight 5 still, so he's going to beat the berserker hopefully with those 3 attacks with the banner as well, and then kill it.
It's really good synergy.
So yeah, it was pretty good, and he was destroying berserkers. There was one glorious moment. Legolas was kind of standing back, hoping to pop shot the shaman, but he had 2 warg riders who kind of went round the flanks, and one got in, and Legolas in a glorious moment decided to auto hit the warg rider, killed him, and the warg ran away, which left a huge gap on his flank because the warg rider just died, which Haldir then heroic combated and got round him, so I was now round the back of him just because Legolas had auto hit this warg rider. And I think the berserkers all went down without killing anything. They killed maybe one thing just from the high fight value, and then pressurising him getting round, and he was worried about his shaman and kind of having to try and get that away. He was doing all right on the other flank though. His leader, the captain, was killing a few. There was a river kind of slowing down movement as well across that way. But eventually he brought his crossbowmen up, and then it became an even fight, and it was really, really close. It was kind of swinging a bit both ways. But yeah, in the end, I think having that free might go meaning that I could always heroic move, and he was, because he's got the captain, Shaman, and Brasco, it's not that much might, especially when Brasco started far away.
Yeah.
It meant that I was usually dictating the positioning of the models, which meant I could A, protect the middle better, but B, make sure that the fights were kind of in my favour. And that just helped me in the end to whittle him down, but it was still very close at the end. But I managed to win, and I was very, very pleased with beating that list.
Yeah, absolutely.
And against Joe with
what
a
were
good
the
player.
VPs?
He did have, I think he had stuff in the middle, but I either had double or triple. We were both broken, and I'd killed his leader, something like that. So I think it was a reasonable victory for me. But it you know, it always sounds. You know, you can have a reasonable VP thing, but it was very close in the actual game. I mean, he could have killed Theoden, or you know, he could have had those. If he'd won the fights in the middle, he could have had more in the middle. It was pretty close. So yeah, it was a really good game, but I was really pleased to beat that force.
Absolutely, it should be.
But Theoden was amazing.
I've defended Theoden for years.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's a good profile. I think he's just, you know, slightly overpointed. Like, so.
But yeah, the Theoden
bringing
Gavin profile was doing great. And I think he had about 9 might throughout that game. Just chopped through berserkers.
Good stuff. So I came up against Michael Romby, who's actually a relatively local lad to me, and I hadn't played him before.
Oh,
and
I was going to say where Joe finished.
Yeah, sorry.
Joe finished 5th with that list.
Wow.
So a very strong finish.
You're gonna potentially be spoilerific if you name an opponent, potentially, spoilers, and they finished first, which proves that me and you didn't win the tournament. You know.
Oh, right, yeah.
If you start, I know that someone like Larry will be crossing off all the positions.
I don't think we're going to win the tournament.
Probably not going to win the tournament. Although we're doing right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michael brought his army over, and it was filth. I think it was it was the sort of army that doesn't necessarily look filth straight away, and then you go, oh. So he had something like he had the twins lead, which are horrible, just horrible, and really, really good for their points. Leading 12 Warriors of Arnor, which is defense 6, which is bad for my army.
Yeah. With spears, I guess.
Yeah, with spears and bumping his model count up. Yeah. He had Balin, son of Fundin, with a bunch of dwarfs.
With the axe as well.
Yeah, 10 dwarfs. So Balin's horrible to fight again. I don't think he had Kaz, but they were defense 7 warriors. Yeah. And then he had, I want to say Thranduil. It was either Thranduil or Legolas.
Old Thranduil?
Yeah, the old one, leading old Mirkwood elves.
Right.
So he's then got the fight 5 with spears and elf shooting.
Yeah.
And the synergy between that is horrific.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of might in now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the twins bring 6.
Yeah.
And they're all 3 might heroes. That's 12 might.
Yeah. That's 600 points. And there's nothing easy, because his elves are protected by the front lines, there's nothing easy to kill. And I was genuinely a bit kind of, I don't know how I can win this, because if I shoot, I won't do a lot from shooting, and then if I get into combat, all his models are better than mine and will kill easier. So I was like, I don't really know what to do. And if you imagine the objective was here, his army was about here, so like facing it, like evenly. And my army was all out here because there was a building at this point.
Right, okay.
So I was in this kind of funnel bit, and I pushed up, and he started coming for the objective, and I was just shooting at him. And I knew, I had this inkling of what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like set in stone, like from the outset.
Yeah.
But I was standing there shooting him and doing a relative amount of damage. You know, shoot. The elves didn't have elven cloaks. Just shoot at the elves, go past the dwarves.
Hopefully take
down and taking down a few elves. Basically trying to remove his shooting. He had Rangers of Arnor as well with his Arnor guys, so more buys there. So I was just shooting at all the Wood Elves and the Rangers just to try and whittle his numbers down, maybe break him. Start thinking about that, and then inadvertently killed a couple of dwarfs like in the way. Legolas, it's always tricky when you got Legolas with either 3 shots to do that, or 1 shot one of his heroes. Yeah. And I was every time, and on one turn I auto hit Balin and did a wound on him, which was awesome. Yeah. Because he's tough.
He's defense 8.
Yeah, he's defense 8, but he's only 2 wounds, 2 fate, isn't he? So if you can get through,
or 1 fate.
It might,
you think he's 3-3-1 or something?
Yeah, he's definitely hard to wound, but if you can, he suddenly is a bit vulnerable. So I was pleased with that. I don't know, maybe Leggy used a point of might to do it or something, but I was well chuffed to get a win on him, and he was his leader, I think. And then basically his army's coming and advancing. And I remember Jamie walking past the table a couple of times. And if you imagine the objective's here, and his army's doing this, and I'm like here.
Yeah, miles.
And Jamie kept going, the objective's there, mate. And he'd come over, you know the objective, you know what the scenario is? I was like, yeah, I've got a plan. And then every time he came, he was like, really? I was like, yeah, I think so. I think I've got a plan. And so I was just shooting him and not decimating him by any means, but getting rid of his archers, so his archery wasn't doing a lot, so every turn I had my archery. Yeah. And he's pushing on and on. And then I'm thinking, at this point, this plan in my head, I was like, this now has to work, because frankly, he's got 20 models onto the objective. And I then keep on punting at Barlin, and he doesn't want to, he knows he can't just stand there and shot, so he starts advancing. Yeah. And eventually the lines clash. And he got the twins involved, but I think one turn the twins. You know how you sometimes keep your heroes behind the thing so they can't get shot. I think I was able to charge the front rank, and because of a building, the twins couldn't get in. Yeah. And then I shielded against the guys in front of the twins, so they couldn't get killed. Yeah. And I think for a few turns the twins were then out of it. Yeah. And I was still shooting and shooting and shooting. Barlin, I'm pretty sure, charged into a Mirkwood Ranger and called a heroic combat. And the Ranger won and wounded him, which was spectacular.
So he had to use his fate to survive.
So that was his second, and he was down to 1 wound. That didn't kill him, and then I was still dropping back, thinking this has got to work. This doesn't work. I'm in huge trouble. Well, he's basically now starting to sense a bit of trouble. So almost all of his army's now moved away from the objective. He's left like 3 dwarves on it, so he's got 5 victory points, and then he's coming for me here. And I'm just still, every turn, if I can, like shooting, jumping on a couple of guys, trying to kill. But a lot of fights are breaking out now. But my battle line now is relatively secure. Yeah. Because I've done, as much as he's got higher defence, I've done a lot of casualties. Yeah. So actually the fights are pretty even.
For no loss, because he's been advancing.
Yeah, and I've got like Thranduil and Tariel are in there, kind of 3 people. And someone gets onto Barlin, kills
one
him.
of the heroes.
Yeah, I can't almost remember. But I managed to kill Barlin. Yeah. So his leader's gone down.
Now I just need to break him.
And I broke him.
Oh, you
broke shooting. So and I was I was getting close to breaking myself, and the time was running out. So then I just keep walking away from the objective.
Just back away.
Like starting to, back away. And he was chasing me, and I think then he realised what I was up to. Yeah. And I was like, it might just work. And this had been the whole thing of forget the objective. Kill Barlin.
It's a bold strategy, because not breaking yourself isn't easy.
Yeah, with that army. But I thought I had enough archery to do it, and he'd have to just walk towards me to do it.
And he's only 5-inch movement dwarf, so if you're running away 6, you're at the
end game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing this and doing that. It was more like doing this and him doing that. Right. It wasn't backing the way down the table, because it just wasn't space. Yeah. And if he won priority, I couldn't do that. But I was able to break him and not break myself.
So
and I won 6-5. So he got the 5 for the being in the middle. I broke him and killed his leader, and I won 6-5. And my proudest stat about this is I won taken hold, and I don't think I ever had a model closer than 12 inches to the objective, which I was very, very chuffed with. Yeah. So I was really pleased with it from like a tactical point of view, because it was like, it was that kind of idea of working out how I can't win that by going in and scrapping it. How else can I win it? This might work, and I was pretty pleased with. I was pretty.
I think also people, because you can do that. People get hung up about the middle, so they're less. When they're charging towards you, they're not thinking about how am I going to charge you. They're thinking about how am I going to get the middle and secure it. Yeah. So their army isn't set up optimized to go in and charge you. So a lot of the time, you then get the advantage of. They're coming in dribs and drabs when they worry, and they're like, now I'm going to go and get you.
I think definitely I didn't fight all his army at the same time, because it was coming through this little funnel, and I think he thought it shouldn't be too hard to take care of. And then as I started winning a few fights, I know in the last turn that's worth mentioning as well. If I was really close to breaking by the end, like a few models off, or maybe 1 model off, I don't honestly remember, but very close. And he had a twin fighting against a ranger who heroic combated. And the ranger won.
So you've done that twice.
Yeah, and so but it was more that the ranger, that would have then allowed a twin to get through and start chopping stuff up. Whereas as it was, it just kept him off. It wasn't that 1 model wouldn't have broken me. It wasn't that. But it was that the twin would have charged through and got some other.
So you had some good luck in some bits.
Yeah, definitely. Really definitely. you know, I had luck against Barley and stuff to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it down and all that. But I was pleased. I was pleased with how I played it, and very, again, chuffed. Kind of like you said against the Arsenal,
Yeah.
to get a win against that list.
Yeah, I think you'd be disappointed if you lost playing that strategy sometimes, because it'd be a little bit like, oh, maybe if I'd gone for it.
Yeah.
But because it worked, that's pretty good.
But it was adapting it as I went. It wasn't like at the start of the
Yeah.
game. It was kind of, I went in, and then as he was like, he's going to be on that before me. It's like, there's no way I can go and challenge that. No way. But and so I was starting to see, like, you know, I don't think I talked about my predictions, but I thought I'd win games.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I'd win 4 or 5. But I was really pleased with how the army was performing.
Yeah.
Like, there's nice little bits of synergy
It's
the
a
way it
strong
ties
army.
together.
It's the shooting that's horrific from yours, with Legolas, Thranduil, Tauriel.
It's 18 shots.
All of them at good ranges.
If
and
Legolas does 3.
it's
But
that's
the
really
Rangers
good.
are potentially so squishy as soon as you catch them, and then suddenly you can. I played one game, I think it was against someone in part 2, and the first 10 models that died were my Rangers, because as soon as they get into combat, it's like that. It was, you know, it's a very much a glass hammer, but I quite like that. I quite like the fun level of it, you know, because it's not just taking a ton of defense 6 models and slogging it out. You know, it can go really well, but it can then go very badly, very quick. So, very surprised after 3 games to be on 3 wins, and I was delighted to find myself going up to the heady heights of table 2 for my final game.
And who are you playing?
I can't remember his name. Sorry, he's an ugly guy. Really grim of face, very, very mean, like very unsporting. A lot of people come up to me saying, "Have you got him?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, you want to watch out for him. He smells, for one thing, and he cheats." So that was a shame.
Yeah.
But shame to end the game day 1 on such a horrible note.
I was playing some filth as well.
Yeah.
Absolute filth. No theme about it at all.
No. Ho ho ho! As you may have guessed, we got each other.
Yeah.
Which was, I was actually really happy about.
Of course you were.
Game 4? Really? Table 2?
Am I playing Ed? No. Am I playing anything else? No, I'm playing Tom's and Rohan.
This was another thing that both of us came to. As much as, I mean, don't get me wrong, yours was far fluffier than mine.
Yeah.
But we've both taken lists that weren't trying to win the event. And when you then have 3 wins, you're actually a bit kind of, but I don't want to play the filth lists.
Yeah.
I don't want to, you know, because Ed was there with Felbeast and James had some Reaver horrible stuff, and you're actually at the point where you're like, I don't want to go and play those games where I'm bound to lose.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about winning. I want to play like some, you know, different arms and different players. But so we were quite relieved, I think I said, to come up against each other.
I should have said Michael Romby with his. Well, you said filth list, but you know, it's combination list came 7th.
Yeah, pretty good.
But he dropped dramatically because he was playing on the top table for the final game. He was playing for the win.
If he could have won the tournament, but he ends up coming 7th.
Yeah.
Classic Swiss ranking.
Yeah, well, in our tournament,
Wouldn't happen.
You will finish on the. If you play on table 1 at the end, you will finish first or second, and that's the saying how it will go all the tables down. So there's no dramatic swing at the end. Which
that's just the nature of the
glorious.
Swiss tournament, isn't it?
Yeah.
And did you do your opponent for that one?
Yeah, I said Joe came 5th. Which was a strong effort.
So, and we had a thing last year where we didn't really want to play each other because we always played, but now bizarrely we don't actually play that much.
No.
So again, we were quite. There's no way you could change it on game 4, table 2 anyway. But I wasn't opposed to playing you.
But we hadn't played each other's lists.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to be fair, I hadn't used the list before I turned up at the event.
I think I'd played 2 games with it. I think.
So it was completely new to me. My only tactic was burn Thaden's might at the start with heroic marching and then keep getting a free one.
So yeah, I was genuinely thrilled to end day 1 playing you.
Yeah.
Like in what you know is going to be at the very least a light-hearted game.
And it's a unique scenario. It was scouts, which is you choose 5 warriors in your army to be scouts, and it's essentially recon, but only those 5 models score points when they get off the other edge, and they all have elven cloaks.
So you've got 5 points available there.
Yeah.
Also breaking.
And leader kill.
And leader.
So that's for
I don't know if leader was in it. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. So maybe it's just 3 for the breaking.
Yeah, breaking and 5.
So basically, you're wanting to get these 5 models off.
So we should now tell this. Like, I think you should leave the room. I'll tell I'll tell the story. I'll leave the room. You tell the story. It'll be like if anyone's watching The Affair on TV at the moment. It'll be like that. The kind of unreliable narrator.
Yeah. We can set up the scenery first. There's a river down the middle, which
and then it curved, didn't it?
Yeah.
If you imagine the boards like that, the river did this. That's quite important for later on.
For me, it was dead straight from Damian's edge down to about 3/4, then curved left off the board.
Yeah. So this is your table edge.
Yeah. So if you chose to set up on one side of the board, you'd be taking the river early, and if you chose on the other, you'd be taking it late.
Or you
for
could
getting off.
choose
Or
on
you'd
the
have to
side
go
here where there's
across.
no river.
Yeah. Yeah, you could choose the side with no river.
And
But
deployment was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I remember deployment was horrendous.
Because of the river as well, especially.
Yeah, because it's recon.
And the shooting.
And you've only got 5 scouts. So normally in recon, you want to lose priority so that you see where your opponent deploys. But now, more than ever, you're like, well, do I put my scouts on here? Or do I put them on here? Or do I not want them to turn up because I want to see his
do I want them in the middle so they can go anywhere?
And do you remember, with one of my warbands...
Your warbands had all your scouts, because yours were Palace Guard.
Because you roll from like recon though, and I got a 4,
Oh,
and I considered miting
down.
it down to a 3.
Yeah, to not turn up.
To not turn up, so that I would see where your guys were. And I remember you going, "That's brilliant! Like, that's filthy and brilliant."
But then I was like, but then you were turned down on getting towards the end.
And I was really debating that. And I remember Jamie coming over and laughing.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of anyone doing that. But I think it was my scout warband, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
it was
all
your scout
5 of my scouts were in. I went for Palace Guards.
Yeah, mine were all Rohan with throwing weapons. No, they were just Rohan with swords, the normal guys.
And so that was really interesting for the first 2 turns, because we both had warbands not turn up, didn't we? And then like figuring out where the twin was, because you're like, do I leave him over there, or do I want to fight him, and all that. And we ended up with as I see it, your army
was on the
here,
the non-river
side,
so I wouldn't have to cross the river to get off myself.
Yeah.
But you were on the other side, and kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to get your scouts, I'd have to cross the river.
Yeah. So, but everything had turned up together.
Yeah.
Both of our armies were together.
I think Gamling's warband turned up later, but because I've got the free might to
burn through the marches.
I can just burn through marches.
And then in the first few turns, you start coming down here.
And I was moving fast because I'm marching every go.
Whereas I then moved, and this is again from my table edge, so the river's doing this. I then moved across the river, which took me a bunch of turns because it was slowing me down.
It was to give you a you set up you set up half on one side and half on the other, and then you wheeled around to get a shooting line on the other half of the river. So you were kind of giving up, trying to stop my scouts with a block.
Yeah, I wanted the river as a movement penalty for you.
Yeah. And
then to shoot at you.
And then we'd be passing each other diagonally across the board.
So then what happened was basically now use the screen. The screen is the board.
Yeah.
Tom's arm's about here, mine's here, and this is kind of happening. But he's more about there.
Yeah.
Trying to get off this table edge, and I'm in this kind of angle.
Yeah.
And then moving 3 inches. I think maybe I called a march or 2.
Yeah.
So I was moving 4.5 inches and shooting. And the shooting hadn't done a lot, had it? There wasn't a lot of shooting.
No, I mean, we've both done some shooting. It did some on both sides.
If you bear in mind the scouts, which are important models, are normally behind about 2 models. So they've got 2 models worth of protection.
Because the Elven Cloaks, you can't target them, you have to kill them first.
And then in one turn, you had relatively close to board edge. You had a breakaway group where you had like your 5 scouts and then a row of guys and a row of guys.
Yeah, it was 2 guys you had to get through.
And I shot everything at them.
Yeah.
Killed 2 or 4 of the blocking models.
Yeah, you killed the blocking models.
And then took
I think you had Legolas and
I
think you had Legolas and Tauriel then to shoot at the scouts. Yeah. And they got
killed
them.
3, didn't
you? 2.
And you get 2 off. I think you ended up
I got 2 off.
So I was able to kill 3 of his scouts.
Which was horrific.
And up to then, the game had essentially kind of been a draw.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked about it.
Yeah,
it was
looked
kind
like
of been
we were
like
both
I was going to get 5 off here,
and then we'd kind of come back to the middle and actually go for the break.
That was it, wasn't it? I think we did talk about that. The 5 scouts would get off, and then we'd send everything back in to have a scrap and see who could break the other one. But suddenly, I'm then thinking,
I'm ahead.
Have I just won this? You know, because you can only get 2 models off, and the armies are about here.
Yeah.
All I need to do is get these 5 models off.
Yeah.
There's no way he can catch me. There's no way he can catch me. Except he's got Theoden and Gamling, which is the most overpowered combo you'll ever see in the game. Because
so
then
I then sent my scouts, the two that remained, kind of at an angle, and then they were getting out of range of your bows at that point because they were heading right for the corner, so they were gone, 2 off. And then Théoden and Gambling basically just heroic marched everything across the river, and I was kind of aiming for the back corner because I knew that he'd be going for it. Yeah, so I was aiming there as opposed to aiming straight at his army. I was trying to cut that gap off. And I think you did a few heroic marches as well to try and, but you don't have as much might.
So yeah, again, using that, I'm in for this corner, and my army's doing this, and his army, faster than mine, is doing this.
Yeah.
And the heroic march was awful. Because every time I do it, I'm like, I need the might, and you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And there's really, at that point, there's no way I can stop Théoden or Gandalf.
No.
And again, you're having that debate of shooting at you had Legolas and Haldir hanging back, taking shots.
Yeah, they stayed on their own, which may ended up being a mistake in the long run. But they were just trying to slow you down to try and make sure that the scouts were all elven cloak protected, and you having to bend your line to make it. So it just slowed you down a bit more by doing that.
And then, if you bear in mind, the river now comes across here. We finally clash about here. So I'd say about 15 inches from your table edge.
Maybe like
Maybe a bit less.
Yeah, maybe a bit less.
12 inches from your table edge, and there's a river
in the way.
And then there's our armies.
Yeah.
So it goes river, Tom's army, my army, and he kind of gets in front of me.
Now I think you had I think you had kind of a numerical advantage, but bear in mind that you're having to break through.
And 5 of my models didn't really count because they were scouts.
Because so
I didn't want to risk them in combat. So then we finally start having some scraps. After a long, the first combat was at like an hour into the game or something.
But it was really tense up to that. It wasn't as if it was boring.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting and tactical. And then you had caught me, and again, I think through Théoden and Gambling, who were hanging back, were able to gradually. We were scrapping here and then scrapping here and scrapping here, and you were kind of able to put a line in front.
Yeah, because I kept her moving at that point then, because I could then I didn't have to march anymore. I could move. My worry was that you were going to break me and not be broken, and you'd win 3-2. That was my original thought on how it'd end up, because I thought you were going to be stronger in combat.
Yeah. And
do it that way.
But
then that's a risk, right?
What was the thing with the guy being knocked down and stepping over someone?
Oh, so basically, your only way to get your guys off, it's hard to break through, was to Nature's Wrath and run over the top of me.
Yeah.
Which you got off. Because I only had Gambling and Théoden, who both have 1 will. No, Théoden has none, so I only have Gambling with 1 will in the vicinity. You do the Nature's Wrath, I have to get a 6 with Gambling. And I think because he'd done some marches whilst, or some heroic moves, I only had like 1 might left.
And you had the guys fighting my scouts, didn't you? Or blocking my scouts.
Yeah,
so 2 of your guys here blocking the scouts. I Natured Wrath, these guys get knocked down.
And they went down.
And then I went, wait.
Yeah, and they all... 4 of them jumped over and then one failed it.
Screwed it up.
Yeah. So you had 4 now.
And I'm pretty sure at this
guys, because I'd caught him, but there was a gap that I still hadn't covered the gap down the side, so those scouts were going for it.
And at this point, we were both broken. We managed to break each other. So what
we
that
broke around the same time, actually.
So what that then meant, it was all down to scouts.
Yeah.
So every one of my scouts mattered.
Yeah, you had to get 3 off to win.
2 off to draw.
2 off to draw.
And when one of them then fails... And you know, because it's a 25% ending, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as well, I only had so many turns, and I was getting really sweaty now because I was like, it's not about whether or not I win.
I could get down to 25% as well by dying.
Yeah, and we were starting doing that counting thing. It's like suddenly, Tom wants to die.
But you were like, no, those 2 scouts count. Do you remember? I was getting very close.
Yeah. There was because there was at one point then I don't know if it had, it's after the big after the big event. We'll do it. We'll do it at the end. So this is then incredibly tense with the river, and it's always coming down to this heroic move roll.
Yeah,
and I
think get the scouts through.
Finally, Tom gets to the point where I've got no might.
Yeah.
And he's got 1. I think Gambling might have gone down.
Everyone's out. It's just Théoden gets his.
Théoden got his 1.
Oh, and Legolas and Haldir eventually have come back over. So Legolas has a might, and Théoden has a might.
And I win priority.
Yes.
And Tom calls a heroic move, and there's nothing I can do about it, and that allows him to get all of his models
to block, and then
onto my scouts.
I don't think you'd get through at that point. I think that would have been game over.
And probably win the game.
Because I'd die enough before you got off.
Yeah. But
Théoden, I'm broken, so Théoden has to take a courage test. He's got no will. And Théoden chokes. with
The
a double
mother of
one.
all jokes.
I wasn't even like
You weren't even worried,
I
were you?
was just nonchalantly like, yeah, oh yeah, Théoden has to take his courage test. Boom.
And I never forget you then going to and looking at your shit and go, it's not got any might. And
It's
me
just
going
horrible.
and honest
Because
to
then he
God,
loses the heroic move
Yeah.
as well.
because it's been a really, really good game, and I like you genuinely. That I felt a bit sick. Like looking at it, I was like, oh god, oh no. So Théoden goes, that's your leader.
Yeah.
That's another guy who's fighting
Yeah.
through stuff,
Yeah.
chopping stuff up, and more importantly, you then don't get the heroic move. And I
Which
was like,
let your scouts through that gap in the.
so then my scouts go, sorry,
And then I can't.
I go,
Because the river was there, they were too far away from Legolas for him to then heroic move the next go and jump on them.
yeah.
I think the reason I picked Théoden was that I think if I'd used Legolas to do the heroic, I would have got stuff over but not been able to charge the scouts.
Yes.
But if with Théoden, I could
Legolas
have
was about here
I would have been able
and
to
Théoden,
charge the scouts with Théoden. But in hindsight, using Legolas would have been better because he's less likely to fail the courage test.
Mm-hmm. But you needed to pin them in place
Yeah.
as well. But it was awful. It was horrible. And it was one of those weird swings where it suddenly went from essentially almost a guaranteed probable win
Yeah,
to
a guarantee.
a lot of trouble. Cause, no, it wasn't
It
over
wasn't
by
good,
then,
but
you're
your
in big
scouts
trouble.
we found the gap, and
And I think maybe you managed to kill one, but the important thing is, of all the numbers, I now have 3 scouts about here.
You had it was the right number.
Yeah.
So
And-
that shooting early on, you got just the right amount that you needed for the end game.
Yeah. And I had 3 scouts within movement range at the edge of the board,
Mhm.
and we reached the end of the turn, and it ends when you're at 25%. And I think Tom's was 7.
I was at, I think I had 7 on the board.
Yeah, and so we counted up, and you went, I've only got 7. Like
I hadn't even. I
the
don't think
game's
I'd even
over.
twigged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna win. And I went, no, because those 2 scouts who you've moved off the board are still alive. And in Recon, the models you move off, they count as alive. So Tom actually had 9 models. So then,
And it was really
arguably,
annoying, I
the
was
2 models
wanting-
you'd moved off,
Yeah.
then kind of lost it for
I
you.
was really annoyed because I had a few Rohan guys who were kind of on the periphery, and they didn't fail the courage test. I was like, come on, run away! They didn't run away. You should run away.
Because
End the game.
you're then in that thing where I was kind of charging models to keep them in the game and stuff.
Shielding.
And then managed to move like 1, 2, 3 models off in the
And
last
it was
turn.
that's time.
The
as
last
well.
turn for time.
But it would have
and-
been the 25%.
And then we reduced to 25%. And it was literally the last turn. And so I got 3 off, Tom got 2 off, and we both broke each other. So I won
What a
one
game
VP.
as well. I mean, it was cool with the Thranduil Nature's Wrath because I think you were like, I'm in trouble now, we're blocked, and then Thranduil goes, poof, and they all run over. It's like, right.
Throughout the
back in the
tournament, that
game.
Nature's Wrath, it did me a hell of a lot of good. A hell of a lot of good. Like, really, really, really pleased with it.
Yeah. When we started that game, I did not expect us to have that kind of game.
So
where-
tense at the end.
So tense. I thought we'd get them all off, and then we'd come into the middle, and you'd eventually win because you'd probably outshoot me on the way in. But in actual fact, it was a brilliant game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, it was incredibly tactical, and that river.
Yeah,
that
it
river
made the
was
game
so,
brilliant.
Yeah.
As much as it was annoying because you're like, I've got to cross it and lose movement this turn.
So I unfortunately put an end to your fluffy reign of terror. But from my point of view, I was delighted to end day 1 on 4 wins.
But having said all this, it then meant that our next opponents might be harder or easier.
Yes. So Jamie had the good sense, I think, to put the draw up for the next round. And
For the
so
next day. This
for
is
the
next day, so
yeah.
this will be part 2.
Absolutely. And I was drawn against Ed.
So I was doing a little jig, being like, yes, at least I don't have to play Ed in the next scenario.
It seems like it
Not-
doesn't. It seems
just because the next scenario is seize the prize, and Ed's fell beast. The nature of that is if he wins the roll offs, he will get. You know, obviously he's got to get the luck on the heroic move off to start with the digging up the prize. But if he wins that heroic move off to get away as well, he's essentially won with the flying.
Yeah, they've modified seize the prize so that you
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
you
get
have
off
to go
your
over the top.
opponent's edge.
But still with flyers.
So it's not for most armies.
Yeah.
It's now not as cut and dry by any means. But for Ed, he had 3 ring. We'll talk about this in part 2 fully. But I knew this. He had 3 ring race and Shelob. So Shelob can march to it on turn 1. If she digs it up on a 4+, in turn 2, there's a Fell Beast touch now. Turn 2, she gives it to a Fell Beast. The Fell Beast flies away. I can never ever catch it.
Yeah. And
So I'm playing against Ed at Caesar
Yeah.
Prize in a game where on two 50-50 rolls, I can't win.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot win.
So I was pretty pleased I wasn't playing him at that scenario just because of that off chance.
So
yeah.
I was then at that point thinking, like, tomorrow I was like, that's it. That's the game I lose. So even best case scenario, if he doesn't get those, it's an incredibly tough. Trying to beat something with flyers that sees the prize is just horrendously difficult, especially against players who get it. So I was thinking, well, that's my loss.
But still a great day for you. 4 wins.
Very chuffed. Very, very pleased. And did you know who you were playing?
Yes, I was playing Dave Sure.
Okay. You did know a lot about him, or
Yeah, I played him before. I didn't know what list he had with him though.
Cool.
I think am I right with that? I'm not mixing up timelines.
See surprise.
Or did I play J. Clare next? No, I'm wrong. I played J. Clare next.
I see surprise.
Yes.
Cool.
So yeah, I know. So yeah, I was a bit. Well, I was happy in the sense that I've never played J. Clare before. We've never played, so that was really cool. But his list I knew was fairly filthy. So, but I fancied my chances more against that than against Ed's.
Yeah. So we knew who we were going to play.
Yeah.
Which was a very interesting dynamic on it for the kind of chatter and the banter that night.
Yeah.
And then we went out for the evening.
Yeah.
And the excitement and the joy of the night out and the evening's activities will be recounted in part 2.
Yes.
When we to kind of balance out the videos. So that is the end of part 1 of our Desolation of Stockport review. I was on 4 wins, Tom was on 3 wins, both in surprisingly good positions in the tournament. And what happened next? Well, you'll just have to wait for the second part of the video to find out.
So yeah, we hope you enjoyed that, and we'll talk to you whenever the next video gets released.
Absolutely. As ever, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe.
Support your hobby.
Follow us on Facebook and like us on Twitter, the other way around.
Yeah. We messed it all up, but happy strategy battle gaming.